Hey man, but let's talk about what we came here to talk about, man. Let's get these notes out the way, man. Let's get these notes out the way. All right, man. So we are in the middle. I wouldn't call it the best of all time, but there are some young people that will. Just for a little context, I was in, I believe I was in middle school when, Game versus, G Unit was outside and Stop Snitching and Stop Lying. That was my first introduction, right? I wasn't outside for, Pac and Big and them. I'm 32 years old, you know what I mean? So I wasn't outside for that, right? But my biggest beef was 50 Ja Rule, then 50 Fat Joe, Jadakiss and all them characters, 50 and Game. Like that was my biggest one. And I'm telling people now, like, man, this might be like the last great rap beef, because now it's a lot of rap beef, but them kids just like gangsters, like they just can't rap for real. But like the top rappers now, you know what I'm saying, like in 10 years, I don't think Lil Baby's ever gonna be beefing with, I don't know, whoever the hell's on top.
21 Savage.
21 Savage or something. I think the last hope we may have is like if Jid gets into a battle with somebody. You know what I mean? Jid is a cultured hip hop guy, but right now we got Drake and Kendrick, and there's really only one side to be on.
It really is.
But I'm not gonna, push my biases.
We haven't even talked about this yet, but you're right about that.
There's only one side to be on, man, and even further context, right? I'm a Drake fan. Like I feel like whatever artist was the hottest when you got into hip hop for real, you're gonna always ride with that guy. I was a Wayne fan, and I feel like Wayne fans just transitioned into being Drake guys, and I'm back on the Wayne train or whatever. But I'm a fan of both guys, really. Just for added context here. Drake better walk around like he Daft Punk, because Kendrick been beating him upside the head all month, especially last weekend. But since this thing started, since the BET Awards, since Baby Keem track Smoking on Your Top 5, man, I think Kendrick's the clear winner. And I think anybody that's thinking opposite is just not listening to Kendrick. So where are you on this whole battle so far? It's probably over, but where are you at on the whole thing?
Yeah, it's definitely probably over. Definitely probably is a crazy statement, but yeah, I think it's over as well. I'm with Kendrick on this one, man. So just a little background, just a little background from where I've come from in this. I'm underground hip hop head, came up, got into doing all media off rapping, produced some records. J. Cole comes out with the first one. I've worked with J. Cole. I got a record, Let Go My Hand, on the off season that I recorded. I've worked with Jid. That's how I got the J. Cole session. Shout out to my homie Chaz French too, who politicked a lot of that, my homegirl Paris. And entering this battle, when it came to the rap chops, I was like, okay, I think J. Cole's gonna be there. I think Drake's gonna be there. These guys got incredible rap voices. They got the traditional rap flow as well, parallel bars and whatnot. Yep. Kendrick is a little bit more in that Nas lane as far as the delivery and the off-kiltered cadences and stuff like that. And I've been a big Kendrick fan since about 2011, since like Section 80 came out. But I'm at the point now where I'm such an OG, I don't listen to music as much as I once did. And this battle kind of like reignited that because we haven't seen something like this in so long. The last great battle on a commercial level like this is Nas, Jay-Z, or like you said, 50 Ja Rule type of vibes, right? And I'm a lyric guy, man. That's what I'm cut from the lyric cloth. Like I came up in ciphers and all of that stuff. So the beat does mean something to me because it sets the tone, it sets the demeanor for everything. I think Kendrick's whooping them on all levels. The bars, the stuff that he's talking about, the angle of the music. Like when you look at the Euphoria, the way that it's switching, the way it start off like almost like softer, like a lullaby type of vibe. Then it drop into some meat. And then you see Drake trying to copy that formula. I heard Joe say this morning, actually. I was looking down my Twitter timeline and I heard Joe talking about this. He said, Drake rapping, but the stuff that he's saying is for idiots. And I think that this goes back to a saying that Cool G Rap said. Cool G Rap might be a little bit too old for your era of hip hop. But I remember Cool G saying this back like in the early 90s. And he said, the taste of how somebody listens to music has a lot to do with their intellectual, like how their intellect is, right? And I think with Kendrick, it's like when you can break down the layers in the music, the depth in the bars, the double, the triple entendres, like This dude is firing back and almost responding to a diss that Drake released minutes before he dropped his.
Yeah.
And there's still depth and there's still layers in the lines. Like the one where Kendrick said, you know, I'm gonna get back to that. I love him to death. I'm gonna get back to that in 8 bars. And then in 8 bars, he said, yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to YNW Melly. Like, come on, dog. Like, that's just not normal thinking, man. And for me, it's like, I listen to rap, like I give everything a chance because till this day, I'm sitting in front of my desk where I engineer records for artists all day long. So I have a very wide range and palette for music. Like I like a lot of trap stuff as well, but my core is underground hip hop, lyrics from the like mid to late 90s. I'm a Raucous Records kind of guy. Mos Def, Kweli, Royce da 5'9", Daylight. You know, I like dudes that really challenge the mind, right? And I think that like with this battle, Kendrick is doing that. Sure. You know, the bars are just such high-level bars that the people who are still trying to ignore it and kind of still saying, like, Drake is winning this battle, he got the best party record and da-da-da-da-da, I think they're just ignoring the factors of, like, hey, like, battles are built on lyrics. And I still follow the battle culture still till this day. That's where the best rappers exist, not on your radios or on your Spotify and all that stuff. Sure. The best rappers exist in the URL and in the battle leagues right now. And I got a lot of respect for those guys. And I think Kendrick just showed you that not only can he hang with commercial artists creating these records, you know, like the one we just got, the one with the Crip step, the Crip kind of walk, kind of bop to it and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he can also exist in that battle lane as well with the greats who do the battle stuff. So, and to what you said about this might be the last one, when you get one like this, stuff like this can change the complete like avenue of where hip hop goes, because these youngins is listening to this going, oh, if the general consensus is that Kendrick won this battle, well, maybe in my next record, I'm going to think about a double entendre. I'm going to go and get on a hip hop beat. I'm going to get on a soulful sample with no drums. And it could completely change the landscape of rap.
Man, you said so much right there. Let me write down something you said. Hold on. Changing the future. I think that's poignant as shit, and I'm gonna get back to you on that. To something that you said earlier, right? Something that bothers the hell out of me, right? The I'll just call them the Drake side, right? That's just an easy way to just kind of categorize them. Is they're looking for like the easy, digestible punchlines. They're like, well, what is Kendrick saying? Give me a line, give me a line. And Kendrick isn't just giving line; he's telling a story. He's giving you puzzle pieces that you have to put together and think about what he said that last time. Oh, back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that, you know. And then he pulls a back to back 3 songs later, right? But speaking of URL, Calico got this line. He was battling Twerk. And he says, he was like, man, look, you rap good, but I haven't lied yet. You know? And that's not a line that'll make you go, ooh, right? But it's real shit. Real shit wins every time. Real shit destroys punchlines every single time. Look, you rap good. Your similes, your little diddly-dillies, I haven't lied to you not one time. You know what I mean? I love the small intricacies of a line that ain't got to necessarily be a punchline. One of my favorite lines in Euphoria was there's no accent you can sell me, right?
Oh yeah.
There's no accent you can sell me. And, you know, if you're not listening, that may just be a line that you pass by. But, you know, Drake, you know, culture vulturing, right? Like if he's rapping with the ATL cats, he's sounding like the ATL cats. If he's rapping with the London guys, you know what I'm saying? But if he's on the Caribbean joints, tings are things now.
Exactly.
Things are tings now, you know? And just Kendrick saying that small little line, there's no accent you can sell me. You can't. I'm Compton all day, every day. I'm LA all day, every day, whether it be this type of, from Section 80 to Big Steppers. I am Compton. I am who I am. You're phony, sir. You're a lie. You know what I mean? And I just think that the other side is they're missing those lines. I think they're missing those small, like, dog, why you hanging out with Yachty? He's not giving you extra swag or anything like that. Why you hanging out with these young people? It's those small lines that people just didn't, like, they easily caught the sexy red lines. They easily caught the you don't know nothing about that lines, right? But it's the small setups, right? Kendrick don't waste lines. He don't waste paper. You know what I mean? Everything and every bar means something. He doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4 bar. everything means something. And I think that the other side, if you're going for Drake, I don't see how, but I think that's what the other side is missing. Drake is making the easily digestible records, but I think they die out pretty quick. You know what I mean? I probably listen to Push Ups twice. You know what I'm saying? But I may be 20 listens into Euphoria. I'm 20 listens into Meet the Grams. You know what I'm saying? Because every time I hear it, I go, what'd he say? Come back. You know what I'm saying? And I think music is much better that way. And there's a lot of people saying, well, I don't want to be an investigator just to listen to music. You don't have to be. But it depends on, like, if you listen to Jay-Z, Nas, Wayne, or whatever, any of the greats, they all have a line. They all have something that you may have missed. I caught a Wayne line the other day. You know what I'm saying? Just re-listen to one time. Oh, that's what he meant? That makes the music better. I don't never want to listen to a song and feel like, oh, okay, well, I got what you were saying the first time. That makes me not want to listen again. But every time I catch something, man, let me run this back in case I missed something else. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I think Kendrick is winning. Because every single time he hit Drake, he's not missing a line. There's no wasted movement. There's no wasted words here. And everything means something. And it might even have 2 or 3 meanings. And Drake asked for that. You better come with a quintuple entendre. He's bringing them too.
He's delivering those, and I do think it's, at the end of the day, it's taste, right? It's like the stuff that you listen to coming up is going to obviously influence how you approach listening to a battle and all that. And I just think it's depth. I look for similar characteristics in film too, bro. Like, I don't like a action-packed Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Not that I didn't like Terminator 2, because that's one of the greatest ones ever, right?
Sure.
Let me use Transformers more as like the example. Yeah. Like, I like a good mind bender film. Like, some of my favorite films are like The Matrix, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Vanilla Sky. I like those movies that you get to the near end and you're piecing that puzzle together like, wow. Or when you watch it the 10th time, you see something in a film that makes you go, man, I ain't even know that was like that. That completely changes the whole story. And I think Kendrick does that with the music. And you brought up some greats too. Like, when we talk about Jay-Z, like, when I was, let me see, so Jay dropped Reasonable Doubt in 96. I was 13. And I listened to it because the OGs, I got an older brother 5 years older than me, they all like, this is what it is right now. So I'm listening to it, and as I grow up, that becomes a classic, and I listen to it. By the time I was in my mid-30s listening to Reasonable Doubt, the game hit different. It hit way different. You know, stuff like, what's the difference between a 4.0 and a 4.6? Or on Imaginary Player on Volume 1 when Jay is like, you beer money, I'm all year money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't understand that, but then I'm like, I get older, me and my homies go out to drinking. Oh, I get it, the beer money. You talking about just some little change, right? All year money, I get it. You know,
time will tell money, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly. He said, I'm popping, you ain't gotta count if it's all their money. Like, I didn't know what that meant either, you know, but hey, it's all there, it's all there. So, you know, I'm all about that depth, man. That's where I'm at with it. And I get it. Some listeners, they want the pop action flick. And I think that's what Drake presents. But at the end of the day, I do think there's a lot of biased stuff being thrown into this battle. People that just wanted Drake to win the battle in the beginning, and now they're just dying on that shield.
I think I'm pretty even, man. I would have been fine if either one of these guys won, but I think I was clearly. And then let me just give Drake credit. Like, he is battle tested. Like, Drake has been outside. He's had his fights. And some of my favorite rappers, they've never been into battles. Kendrick is one of them. Andre is another one. But people don't battle them dudes for a reason. It's hard to beat guys like that. A point you brought up, right? How this battle shapes the future, right? Let me just tell you something. You know, if your top guy, whoever the top guy is, right? I feel like the music that they make ends up being the music that everybody else makes. Here, there's an argument that's being thrown around on the social medias or whatever. It's like, well, who has Kendrick ever influenced or whatever, right? I'm like, well, I mean, that's a weird argument to throw into this, but it did make me think Drake has influenced a lot of people, and that could be good or bad if you think about it. He can get his hits, and there was a time like Drake is chasing his hits. He wants to be Michael Jackson. He's chasing these hits, and when Drake was rapping and singing, okay, now rap and singing guys exist, right? When Drake was doing the dance hall, okay, dance hall becomes popular now. Some you said that just put a little thought in my brain. If Kendrick wins this with bars and lyrics, you know what I mean? And Kendrick is outnumbering and outviewing Drake. He's outnumbered and outviewing Drake right now. Is this ass whooping going to be a renaissance for lyricism? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, we see Kendrick. Kendrick is the top guy now. Hey, man, Kendrick's making his money. Kendrick won this battle. Kendrick's got the sales and the views and and all this. Should we go back to lyricism, right? Drake making the microwavy music, and I just want to give Drake his credit. When Drake was an individual, I loved him. When Drake had his own style, I loved him. When he was innovative, I loved him. When Drake started to rap like the young kids, that's when I started to kind of taper off from him a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. If Kendrick resets this new standard for lyricism, will he bring in this new wave of triple entendre kids? Because that's why I think the rap game, and that's why I mentioned Jid earlier, right? I love Jid, and I think Jid, and he's 30 or whatever, but he's one of the young talents or whatever, right? I think Jid is one of the only ones that can bring lyricism back to the game right now. Benny is one of my favorites, but he's like 40 something. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about the young crop right now that's competing with some of these other characters, right? So I always mention him. But do you think that Kendrick winning, Kendrick standing on top of the mound, and not like that can help because that is a club record and we're going to be playing that for like 6 months. But do you think he's going to bring this new wave of lyricism back to hip hop? Because I would love it if he could.
I think it'll help. I think it'll be a crutch for it. And I think we've seen stuff like this in the history of rap because if you think about it, we've been probably about 20 years now, I would say, in the commercial rap realm where like lyrics don't dominate. Like for me, it's like after 2005, lyrics haven't really dominated, except when this class came in like 2010, 2011, sure. there was some people getting back to the real lyrics and getting back to the music. I'd say like when like Kendrick and Drake came out, Cole, Big Crit, ASAP Rocky, Wiz Khalifa, that whole movement of dudes, Smoke DZA and all that era of 2011 and whatnot, the whole TDE stuff with Ab Soul, all that. And it just acts as a crutch, I think. It's up to the this is like a B2B consumer type of situation because for the people that are cooking, you got the people that are at the top of the game cooking up and giving you that influence. And it's up to those next wave of artists to figure that out. I think that Kendrick's going to help it. You know, winning this battle is definitely going to help it. But when you look at the grand scheme of it, Kendrick wasn't necessarily putting out like just all underground stuff. It was a balance of like some stuff that was for the club.
Sure.
And a balance of some stuff that, you know, sounded like it could have been a Griselda record or a Rock Marciano record or something like that, you know, just rhyming over some open kind of sample vibe. So I think it'll be a crutch, man. It's up to the next wave. And like the game don't give that many people that much opportunity at one time. That's the thing. Like when you look at what's going on right now in rap, as far as lyrical rappers go, it's like hitting the slot machines. There's only a few of them out there. As far as mainstream goes, we got Cole, we got Kendrick, and you could put Drake when he wants to rap in that bag as well. But outside of those three dudes, as far as like the people pushing the culture and the younger pieces that are running the game, it's not many people. Like you said, you got Benny and Griselda and them, but they OGs. You still got some OGs that are kind of, you know, still putting out some good work, but they're not influencing the youth like some of these guys can, like Drake and like Kendrick Lamar can. And that's why I love when Drake is in that rap bag, man. I think it just like encourages people to just go out there and push the pen more and stop making records that have already been made. Like when I hear Sandra's Rose or like Pipe Down, records like that, I love those records from Drake. And the same thing goes for Kendrick. Like sometimes it's a little bit too artsy for your average consumer. You know, like when you listen to the last album that Kendrick put out, sure. You know, I waited like 2 years to listen to that album. I just listened to that album like 6 or 7 months ago. Because I like to kind of ignore what everybody's saying and just have my own unbiased opinion on it.
Sure.
And that record was very artsy, you know, and I think that people aren't hearing that going like, oh, I need to emulate this. They might be thinking like, that's his lane. You know, when you hear songs like We Cry Together, and I mean, like, he just screaming, him and his girl arguing on the record in the most creative way, I don't think that's necessarily going to influence people to make records like that. And even with this battle, I thought Kendrick, like he won the battle outright. But was it the greatest display of rapping that could possibly be happening right now in 2024? For me, absolutely not. Like at times I'm listening like, that's kind of weird. That's kind of, that's not going to hit the same way. Whereas like when you watch a legendary battle, I mean, you brought up Twerk, you know, when you watch guys like Loaded Lux and guys like Daylight, like you look at Daylight versus Tay-Rock, it's an undeniable win. It's like, dude, that's really rapping bars. And it's not, I I think what makes a great director of rap or music is like making it so that it's not too over people's heads, but also has those depth and has those layers as well. And it's not just dumbed down and just surface value stuff. And I think Kendrick kind of like leans a little bit too far sometimes to the art to try to pull in some of those, the general population that just listens to rap.
I mean, so like, would it be rude to say that the general consumer is just like, I don't call him. Okay, so look, if we can go back to film for a second, right? I love a dialogue heavy film. You know what I'm saying? I love a conversation. I love when there's like a hidden element or something like that. You know, a Tarantino movie or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big Tarantino guy. You know what I'm saying? So like I understand what you say when you mean like what's the hidden meanings or what is this character doing and I don't like being spoon fed. I don't like the exposition. You don't have to tell me. And character A had a gun under the table. Don't tell me he had a gun under the table. I just want to see his hands under the table the whole time. And me as the viewer, I want to be like, man, I bet he got a gun under the table. You know what I'm saying? I get rewarded so much more with that, right? So I don't want to be spoon. I don't mind being confused. I don't mind being lost. I don't mind not getting it the first time, but I know I'm not the average consumer. And I know that this is a money game now. And you have to get those, you know, and if anything, Kendrick does get a little artsy fartsy with his, but like, quit being stupid. quit being idiots. Really what it is. You know what I'm saying? Quit being. I don't think that we're trained. And look, when I say we, I don't mean me and you. I mean them. I don't think like we're trained to pick up some of the jazz elements in Butterfly, right? Or like when the album gets dreary, all right, well now the music gets a little dreary. Oh, that Thundercat bass line, I wonder what that means. Just being placed right there. I want, is that placed there for a reason? I don't think that we're trained to just listen for like motifs and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to my man Reggie or whatever, and he brought up a great point that like a lot of music is made to be not listened to. So like when Drake does his More Life playlist is what he called it, right? All right, I gave you 30 songs, 25 songs. You might take 12 of them and you may not listen to the other 18 or so ever. In my mind, that's you planning for 18 songs to be useless. You know what I mean? But in every Kendrick album, most of them, every Kendrick album, right? You can't miss something. If you skip 8 songs, if you listen to it on shuffle, you're not going to understand what the hell is going on, right? And I just love a good concept album, but I don't think a lot of people are into concept albums. So with the whole, if I don't get it, I'm not going to listen to it again, and you're not going to get streams or you're not going to get money. I think that puts artists in a compromising state or whatever, because they can't make money if we don't listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you got to look at the way that media has been compromised. And when I say media, I mean the format of it. Like, we used to get our music on albums. You know, it was like if you were going to get a compilation back in the day, you had to get one of them like CD Now, Hot, whatever things, right? But like for the most part, we got CDs, albums, tapes, vinyl even. The media and the analog was one way. And you absorbed it for the entire year. Like, yo, Schoolboy Q is one of my favorite rappers, right? And like he dropped that album, I was so just geeked to get that album. And when I heard it, I was like, okay, it's cool. It's a pretty good album, but I have not revisited yet. And I just think like in the old era when you could digest and absorb and wait for a whole entire year to get the general consensus of what people thought about on a project, it changes it. You know, now we're talking a game that's, you know, driven by Spotify, iTunes and all that stuff, Apple Music and those numbers. So when people are creating, they don't mind creating the same song over and over again. To what you were saying about Drake, it's like he might have 20 songs on the album and 7 of them sound pretty similar. Whereas a guy like Kendrick is still operating and thinking in that, I'm going to tell you a whole entire complete story. No record will be redone, and we're not going to be redundant on this album. But I do think that has a lot more to do with Spotify and Tidal and Apple Music and stuff like that, because the way people have this quick access to music now, it allows you to get something and not digest it. Everything that is in digital media is like that too. Like, for instance, I play a lot of Xbox. If I download a game and it's not hitting the first time around, I'm not going to sit there and try to play it and figure out what's going on with it. I'm done with it. I'm going to go back to what I know works, my NBA 2Ks, my Maddens, my Apex Legends, my Call of Duties and stuff like that. So it's all the same. I just think like with great access, you know, it almost makes you less focused on like how to create that story. I get it as a producer now, like the abundance of drums and samples and sounds that you can get now is just too much. So now I got a terabyte hard drive full of just every damn kick, snare, hi-hat pattern you've ever heard on any record. And when it's time to cook up, now I'm not just limited to what I used to have, like just an MPC and a few records that, hey, I only had maybe 5 snare drums back in the day, and we had to find ways to retool and work that. Now it's like so much access. I think it makes creating actually a little bit more difficult for people, and especially in this day and age where it's single driven and everybody's trying to get these numbers up on Spotify's and monthly listeners, but nobody's really sitting there on Spotify to listen to an album outside of the day that it drops.
Sure. Do you think that Drake would have fared better in this battle if he would have taken his time with his music and really crafted something that was worth crafting? This can go down to microwave versus, well cooked art. You know what I'm saying? Like even when Drake, let me look at my timeline here. Even when Drake he dropped Push-Ups, and right after Push-Ups he quickly dropped Tailor Made, right? And I think Tailor Made was some of his best rapping on the whole, like in this whole series or whatever. But it got weird because he used the AI stuff and then it got pulled down or whatever. But yeah, at the end of Tailor Made, and I thought this was the most pivotal moment in the beef or whatever, because it's like, all right, first of all, you're urging Kendrick to come outside, like you're begging Kendrick, hey man, we waiting on you, bro. It's been 24 hours, sir. Where you at? Why don't you hurry up and drop something? And I interpret that. Listen to us talk about interpreting something. We're artsy fartsy, sir. I interpret that as a chess move, like a devious, evil ass chess move by Drake to make Kendrick cut corners a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like Kendrick is the guy that's going to take his time and craft something, and is going to be meticulous, and it's going to be great, and he's not going to have any fat left over. But Drake is, hey, hurry up. Do you think it was on purpose that Drake probably wanted Kendrick to hurry up and, skip some pivotal steps in his creative process, or you just think Drake was just bullshitting and being lazy?
Yeah, I thought it was strategy. He probably looked at Kendrick like, oh, this is a guy that's not dropping albums consistently. And he probably thought that was, this guy can't write and cook up fast. Mm-hmm. But I think he was completely wrong on that. I think Kendrick takes his time with the albums, but we saw in this battle that when it came time to just fire a record back, it was nothing. Yeah. I think they're both ready for that too. They were both, these are seasoned artists we talking about that they do this for a living. So the pen is not, not in shape. Yeah. The pen is in shape for both of them, right?
It's conditioned.
And it's definitely conditioned. And I think for Drake, this is as good as it was going to get. Mm-hmm. I really do. I don't think that he put out bad records. No. I do think that the AI stuff with Tupac and Snoop was just you got to have the right homies in your camp, man. It kind of got the temperature of what's going on in hip hop. Somebody, if I'm in that camp, I'm be like, yo, bro, you should just go rap that verse, bro. Or maybe we use like AI Tupac to put him in the background and do an ad lib or something, but we're not going to have him lead the verse. I thought that was probably the biggest mistake in this whole battle to me. And then Kendrick, capitalizing off Drake dropping, what was it, Family Matters, and then coming with Meet the Grams, right? And to me, that was where the battle was won and it was over. That the demeanor of the records, man. Like, you can't be on a battle sounding like fluffy and just light and nice and kind. And, I told people that about J. Cole. Like, the session I had with J. Cole was just me and him for like 12 hours through the night. And I was telling my homies, I was like, look, J. Cole can rap his ass off. But when it comes to this battle, he's too nice of a guy. He's not going to cross that line like what we just saw from Kendrick on Meet the Grams. And you look at people's reactions when Meet the Grams came out. The music comes in, it's all eerie. Yeah. And then he just say, Dear Adonis, it's done.
Alchemist, man. Alchemist so good at that. He's so good at that evil shit. Yeah, go ahead.
That dark, sinister style of music. Like, that record felt like I was watching a Jordan Peele movie. Like, it was a horror. I felt like I was watching Get Out or something like that. Sure. And it was like, I think people have been trained in the battle like realm of like, oh, I need those punchlines here, ooh, that kind of stuff, right? Where Kendrick just approached it totally different. Like, yo, this about to be a nightmare for your favorite rapper, and that's exactly what he did on that battle. I thought it was just strategically very impressive, and I do think Pusha T kind of skewed the way people perceive what's supposed to happen in a battle, because a lot of people just like, oh, I'm waiting on the T. I'm just waiting on the T, and then when they find out like, oh, maybe they're lying about some of this T here, this T here. I don't like that record because he might be lying about that. Man, it's a battle. Like, at the end of the day, man, there's no rules to it. There's really no rules to it. If you want to lie, you can lie. Do it sound fly? Do you got my attention? Is it entertaining? Yeah. Is it rocking? Is the flow tight? Is how I look at it.
Yeah. used to be I'll just smack you when I see you. That's what the rap. If I see you in LA, I'm gonna smack you. That's what it used to be.
And I said that about Drake after Meet the Grams came out, and I was watching Academics live when that one came out, and you know, he was like, he was getting ready to pop a bottle when the Drake record came out. He was so happy, and then the Kendrick record came on, and he was like, what is he talking about? And yo, I said this in the comments, and it went crazy on that video. He looked like somebody that was talking to his lawyer, and the lawyer was like, listen, bro, we tried everything. You're gonna have to do some time, bro.
Oh, man. Hey, man, I think, no, actually, I'm gonna say it. I only got two more. I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Streaming news. All right. What I liked about Kendrick and, all of his records is that they all sound the same and they all had a certain tone that they were going for. You know what I mean? Euphoria sounds like, all right, we're kind of slap boxing or whatever. We're kind of da-da-da, boom, boom, boom. Which one? It wasn't 616 in LA, right?
Oh, yeah.
Love that one, by the way. Soul sampley. Hey, man, I'm just warning you for what's about to happen here. I'm just trying to be clairvoyant and give you... Hey, you might want to back out right now. And look, you about to be mad at me for what's about to happen, but you did this. You can stop it. Meet the Grams was evil, destructive. You know what I mean? It sounded like your hands on somebody's throat, restricting them from breathing, is what it sounds like. And Not Like Us is just a celebration. We won the fight.
It's over. We won.
I think it's even some messaging in how Kendrick sounds when he's rapping these records, and I think push-ups and Family Matters, they can't you can't go drop while Kendrick is choking you and restricting breath from your lungs. You know what I'm saying? Right. So just comment on Kendrick's tone throughout this battle and how every song was kind of different tone wise.
Yeah, I mean, I thought like this, like they both can rap. But when it comes to that demeanor and the tone, that's how Nas beat Jay-Z, to be honest. Like, Ether drops. I was telling this to my girl the other day. Like, just think about when that, I don't even know what sound, it's like a string sound or something that just happens in the beginning of Ether, just like that. Duh.
Yeah.
You could be anywhere in the world. If that sound comes on.
You know what it is, yeah.
You know exactly what it is. So, like, and I was arguing with one of my homies in one of our group threads on Twitter, and he was like, why are you judging the music and stuff like that in a rap battle? I'm like, bro, that's super important, man. Like the landscape of what you rap on is going to dictate the vibe and the demeanor of it. And that's one realm that I knew Kendrick was going to have the one up on, was just the feel of the records. And if you looking for that like back-to-back vibe from Drake, which I thought was goofy when it first came out, like back-to-back's a great record, but in the realm of a battle, I was like, I don't know about this. And then the more and more I heard it out, I'm like, yo, that record crazy. And it grew on me for sure. But like normal battles, I'm thinking like second round knockout by Cannabis.
Yeah.
Just like I'm knocking you out type vibes. And Kendrick did that. And that's a good point that you brought up about the layers of each battle, like each one being different and feeling like the tone at the time. Like Not Like Us, feeling like a celebration. It was the first time that Kendrick almost like put the guard down and like had a good time on the record.
Sure.
Whereas everything else kind of was like, listen, we about business. And then the last record, like, hey, I know this is over. Let's go ahead and go celebrate. And now you've seen it going across all social media, man. Like everybody dancing to that record. Like that Crip Walk bop, man. Like that's going all the way from the West Coast all the way over here on the East Coast, man.
Yeah. It's going to be a long summer for Drake. Like back in the day, they'd be like, oh, you can't come to LA because like they was gangsters and they'll kill you. But now you can't come to LA, but you can't watch the basketball game. You can't go to the clubs nowhere because they're playing this song dissing you. And that's your move that you use against Meek, which goes back to Euphoria back to back. I like that record. I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to show you something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a whole nother layer. Here's another, and look, shouts out to this conversation, by the way, because this is what I wanted to have. I wanted to have like a nuanced, you know what I'm saying? We going in. Appreciate you.
All day.
I think the radio stations are taking a bit of an L in this situation, and they're starting to realize that they're old people now, like the Hot 97s and all those characters, right? Because streaming, you mentioned you was watching Academics. I was watching too. We all was watching Academics. And it was a point in there. Look, I'm a YouTube guy. You also a YouTube guy. 25,000 in the stream live, 30,000 in the stream live is ridiculous. just to watch Act kind of break something down. You was listening to Buttons podcast. I got it queued up, ready to go as soon as we done here. Like, hip hop media is so different. You know, even just like the regular streamers, right? Like, oh, let me type in a reaction video. Me and my lady, all we did was just watch reaction videos. We watching people dance to Not Like Us, and we're watching people react from Family Matters to 20 minutes later, Meet the Grams coming out. It's great content. It's great to consume it or whatever, right? And I just think like we're so far from, all right, I'm going to go to K-Slay and say something about Jadakiss. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go to Funk Flex and say something about Jay-Z, Angie Martinez. And look, man, they had their place in hip hop at the time, right? Like they had their time and their greatness or whatever, but streaming has really changed up how we consume reactions to beef and hip hop. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that. You know, it's shifted into the podcast realm for sure, and being able to see things live and when it's happening, that's what people want. You know how it goes with the football content. It's like nobody wants to watch the recap of week 3 and week 5. It's the day after. We want to see that recap. Same thing in hip hop media. And I honestly got off into doing football stuff because I'd planned on jumping into hip hop media. That was my goal, to do like a hip hop podcast. And then I was just like, nah, man, this football stuff is definitely where it's at. And, you know, as far as guys like Joe Budden and stuff like that, you know, Peter Rosenberg's the one that really set Joe Budden up and like was like, yo, you should do a podcast. And that's how the whole Joe Budden podcast thing happened. And me and Peter go way back. I'm from the DMV. I grew up like my first like 25 in Maryland and Silver Spring, right outside of DC. And then I moved to DC later. Yeah. And Rosenberg's my guy. Set up his Hot 97 setup that he's rocking on right now. And I think he kind of gets it. Like the radio is one thing, but the media that people are consuming on YouTube is more of a like fast pace, is the news out there right now type of thing where nobody has time to wait till Monday anymore, you know, if news breaks on Saturday. So I like that. I do like that portion of media. You know, I always say like my pops would love this era, man. Like my pops was like all about just like recording himself on like a tape player back in the day. And this is in the 80s and whatnot, when it was like, you know, no podcast, no real way for regular individuals to go out there and put their word out there. And now we got all this access. Like I can go watch Kurt Warner break down film, you know, after a game. And I can watch guys like JT O'Sullivan give me information on quarterbacks and dropbacks and mechanics and upper body and lower body mechanics and arm strength and all these different things that when I was coming up playing football or create music, whatever it was, we didn't have access to that stuff. I couldn't go on YouTube and look up like, what's the proper way to drop back 5 steps as a quarterback and all these different things to be able to learn, you know, more about the sport and stuff like that. So this is the information age, whether the youth is going to capitalize on that, because a lot of people, it's the information age, but they're not getting to the information, which is absolutely crazy to me, man. Yeah. But we're blessed, man. I love this era of just like being able to wake up the next day and see new takes and people talking on Twitter on a timeline in real time. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man, what made me think about it was, was watching Hot 97 react to it on Monday. And I was like, man, it's been 2 days, man. What's going on with y'all? But, like, Academics is doing it while, like, we're listening to it together almost, right? And I'm like, okay, well, this is the new wave of what, you know, music media is going to be. And look, man, shouts out to Act, man, because he's had his past as a, you know, with his antics and all that kind of little stuff and, you know, his loud nonsense behavior, whatever. But I really enjoyed his coverage because I was watching him break down. It was he was breaking down something, but it was one of his live streams. He was like, "Hey, let me tell you all about New Ho King," and he just talked about New Ho King for like 3 hours, and I learned something. You know, I learned, okay, well, Drake maybe didn't get robbed at New Ho King, but it's this dude that got beef with some gangsters that's cool with Drake, and this happened, and this guy died, and he was the sixth god, and then he got killed. Then Drake, and I was like, man, I'm learning something. This is new hip hop media here, and I just thought that was an interesting, just an interesting revelation. I don't know if I'm gonna be keeping up with Ack on the regular once this thing is all done, but whenever something impactful happens in hip hop, I can imagine I'm just gonna go back to him, and he'll have something informative for me.
Yeah, I go through waves of listening to Academics at times, you know, that can be obnoxious and whatnot, but then other times, like during this battle, it creates amazing content. Yeah. And I mean, you even see now where it's like guys like Joe Budden, he went to go film the podcast after Drake dropped Family Matters, and they had to cancel the pod because they're like, whoa, Kendrick dropped another one. So it's literally real-time media. you got to be able to adjust. You kind of got to be able to like foresee what's going to happen as well. I'm sure you know this in the Cowboys world. Like, you don't want to make a video that by the time you are already done editing it, doing whatever you got to do to it, it comes out and then that topic is a little bit lackluster now and has died down and don't got the gas behind it. So yeah, I mean, hip hop media is in a great place right now, and I like that challenge of trying to, you know, fuse what I do as a filmmaker and as, you know, a content creator, and be able to make like in the now content that people can enjoy for hopefully years to come. Because I mean, that's the tough part about doing stuff in season is like, you know that your week one recap, once that week is out, that content is dead.
Authentic, sir. Not only should we do this again, but I beg of you that we should do this again. This was dope. It could be football. It could be football. It could be hip hop. It could be movies, whatever. Hey, look, we should just do this again. This was fun. And this is exactly what I was looking for, man. I just didn't want no surface level cookie cutter discussion, man. I wanted to get into the themes. Like, what makes us, you know, fans of Kendrick or whatever, that got translated into this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And it's fire, sir, and much respect to you. Let me just give you just sir. Hey, man. Hey. The audience gonna love this one, man. Appreciate you, sir.
I definitely think they're gonna rock with this one, man. And speaking on the new media real quick before we get up out of here, please. Like what we're doing now, this is new media. Yeah. We both do sports content, but that don't mean that we can't go off and talk about a topic that we want to talk about that is for the culture, about the culture. So I definitely appreciate you having me come here, man, pull up and talk some ball and talk a little bit of hip hop as well. Two of the things I love the most. Yeah,
they're the best, man. Tell the good people where to find you, sir.
Okay, so I'm doing streams on Bleacher Report these days. I'm about 3 streams a month on Bleacher Report. Just, you can search me at Authentic on there. I also do 4 days a week on my channel during the season, and I'm creating videos in the off season like crazy. The channel's called Authentic and the Beard. That's my partner. That's on YouTube. You can check me out on Spotify. I release about an album every couple of years. I got 12 albums I put out. Just search Authentic. I'm authentic everywhere, man. And yeah, just continuing trying to raise that bar, man, and take the foundation from the forefathers of this hip hop stuff and this sports stuff and try to implement some new faces in this media stuff. So appreciate all y'all rocking out with us. And yeah, if you want to check me out, it's at Authentic. And I'm always talking ball on Twitter every day.
Yeah. This was incredible. Hey, y'all hold it down for the Doski Woes and Peace. Until next time, man. Peace.